Yo! So this is day 2 of our trip in Japan, and we are specifically today still in Osaka. The weather today is more cloudy and it's going to be raining later tonight. So since this is our second day, we wanted to give some of our impressions of Japan so far. I think so far what stands out to us in Japan, and specifically in Osaka, is that the food is a lot better than we were expecting. Every time I go to Japan, this is my third time, and this is Claire's first time in Japan. Me specifically, I have kind of like low expectations when I go to Japan when I think about the food, but every time I go, my expectations are exceeded pretty much every time. So I think the food here, for the value for the money, is really it almost makes you feel bad for the restaurants that you eat at, because it's so affordable and so cheap, and yet the food is so good. And I think that it's one of the things that makes Japan stand out among the places that we've been. Just as an example, the hotel breakfast that we have, is the food there is so fresh, and it's almost restaurant quality food for basically what is a breakfast buffet. And compared to the breakfasts that we have in Europe and in the US, the breakfast buffet here by far is a lot better than the ones that we've had so far. Today we checked out Osaka Castle. Inside of the castle looks like more of a modern building versus the outside. The inside of the castle is mostly a museum along with an observation deck on the 8th floor. And overall, we kind of enjoyed it. We didn't really check out most of the exhibits in the castle museum. We mostly just walked through the castle up to the observation deck. And the observation deck gives you a good view of Osaka. However, the observation deck has a wire protector on the outside of the deck, and it kind of disrupts the view of Osaka. But overall, the admission price is only 600 yen per person, which is very affordable for what it is. And so you would probably want to visit just because you're in Osaka, and that's one of the main attractions in Osaka. On the way to Osaka Castle, we actually ran across a kendo competition, which is the Japanese wooden sword fighting competition. And it was a nice kind of like change of pace from just walking to the castle and going through the touristy activities. So it's nice to just run across these little activities and little cultural things in Japan. Osaka is obviously known for takoyaki, but we decided on a variant of the takoyaki called the Akashiyaki at the Takoyaki Kukuru restaurant in Shin. So the Akashiyaki is more of a egg batter where you eat the yaki with a dashi soup. And initially when you get the Akashiyaki, it seems more runny and watery compared to a normal takoyaki. But once you eat the Akashiyaki with the soup, it makes sense. So it's definitely something that you can try out when you're in Osaka. Our main goal today, since it's raining tomorrow, was to hit all the major outdoor popular areas. So we went to Dotonbori, we went to Shin Sekai, and then we also checked out the Denden town, which is the mini Akihabara of Osaka. So Dotonbori, it's very crowded as usual, and the Denden town wasn't really our kind of thing because we're not really interested in the anime culture. And the Shinsekai was mostly a whole bunch of games, like shooting games and claw games and that kind of thing. So we did play some claw games and we won this little cat guy here. And now we're headed towards our dinner, which is a teppanyaki dinner that costs about $140 per person. Hopefully it's good. We've had our dinner at the Teppanyaki Kokoro in the village Osaka, The meal was about $130 per person, and it was mostly a appetizer with sea bream and also some pickled vegetables, and also the main course was some pieces of Wagyu steak along with some fried rice and that kind of stuff. So overall, we would say the food was okay. It wasn't really worth the money in terms of the food, but the service was very good. Can we walk this way? Yeah, so we thought that the chef there was an intriguing kind of guy. He did very purposeful movements, probably because it's a teppanyaki, so he's trying to do a kind of like a performance kind of situation. So overall, personally, I don't think that the food was worth 4 times the cost of the yakitori that we had yesterday, and so we wouldn't really recommend this particular teppanyaki place for food, but the service was really fantastic. It's raining, and so we got like a free umbrella from the waitress when she walked us out of the restaurant. And so yeah, we really enjoyed the service there, and it gave us like a memorable feeling for the whole experience. But overall, once again, the food wasn't worth it. That concludes our second day in Japan and our second day in Osaka. Osaka so far has been a pretty good experience for us. I think mostly we enjoyed the food so far in our hotel, and also some of the street food that we ran across today in the Kuromon market, particularly the Oden in the Kuromon market was a really refreshing meal considering it was cold and cloudy, and Oden is basically a perfect warm snack / mini meal for that kind of weather. And also we ate some matcha gelato in the Daimaru Mall, and the gelato was good, but I think in general the food in malls in Japan are good, but it's very rare that you get great food in the mall, especially the kind of like the little food stalls in the mall. In my experience, the food there is not that great compared to restaurant food. The other memorable food experience that we had today was the Akashiyaki, which is the takoyaki variant that you eat with the dashi soup. So that kind of like a takoyaki variant was good to us once we figured out that you just needed to eat it with the soup. So overall, today we just did a lot of things. We walked around the major attractions, major outdoor attractions in Osaka, and because tomorrow it's going to be more rainy later in the day, so we are going to be going into the malls and doing more indoor activities tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed watching our second day in Osaka.